Welcome, my fellow Americans, to Two Guys on Politics. I'm Bill Lipinski, and next up will be my good friend, the top man of this program, Mr. Ray Hanania.
And welcome to Two Guys on Politics. I am Ray Hanania, and this is August 1st, 2024, Season 3, Episode 22. Sounds like a Star Wars series they're going. Maybe we need to design a new intro where the Star Wars thing rolls up our screen the way it does at the movies. So the big question is, still, of course, by the time we ask it, in an hour, she'll probably announce it, because every time we do something and talk about something, she acts right away and does what we're anticipating her to do. Who's going to be Kamala Harris's vice presidential pick? And can Robert F. Kennedy Jr. make that pick? Can they consolidate all that into one campaign? I think it would be great. What do you think, Bill? Who's their pick?
You tell me first. Who do you think she's going to pick as vice president?
Well, it's two choices. I think one, if she's greedy and just wants money, she'll pick that guy who happens to who bought his way to the top of Illinois politics, J.B. Pritzker. He can write a check for $500 million without even thinking about it. And by the time the check cashes, he'll probably make another $500 million. So he doesn't need to worry. Outside of that, I'm hoping it might be Gretchen Whitmire, who's the governor of Michigan, where Biden really needs support in order to win. I mean, where Biden lost support and where Harris will need support to win. What do you think?
What do you think of the senator from Arizona?
What's that guy's name?
Let's see. He was an astronaut. Is that
No, there's so many senators that are a blur, and honestly, I don't even know.
He is a military man.
Is that Carl Hayden?
Oh God, no. Carl Hayden.
He was an old guy, right? He was there. That was in the 20s, I think, right?
Oh God, Carl Hayden.
And Barry Goldwater's been gone for a while, and then John McCain before him. But maybe you're talking about Kirsten.
No, you're getting close.
Mark Kelly.
Yay!
Yeah, I think that's going to be a difficult one between you and I, because if that name isn't on the top of my head, I wonder how many people know who that person is.
But he's an astronaut. He's an astronaut. He's a military man. He's married to Gabby Gifford, who was shot.
Oh, I know Gabby Gifford. If she runs, I think that would be a great choice. Gabby Gifford's husband, if he would just identify himself as Gabby Gifford's husband, I might be able to support that. But him by himself, I'm not sure. I've seen him a couple times, but I don't know what he does or what he stands for.
Well, he's in this day and age in the Democratic Party, he might be considered somewhat of a moderate. Back in the days of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, he would have been an extreme left winger. But
probably 90% of all of the politicians would have fallen into that category.
The Democratic Party has moved so far left, he's considered a moderate. That's who I believe that she's going to pick.
Really? Why would she pick him? What benefit? Oh, Arizona is a swing state also, right? She's worried about Arizona.
It's a string. It is a swing state.
Yes.
He's a military man. And the Democrats have been sort of weak on military things for quite a few years. That would help them there. Also, he's an astronaut. And even though you and I could not think of his last name,
right?
He once it's announced that he is the vice presidential candidate, I think it will, people will start remembering who he is. The Arizona Republic newspaper is strongly behind him in Arizona.
He probably buys a lot of ads from them, for them.
Well, that newspaper had been, up until very, very recently, a very strong advocate for the Republican Party.
Well, Arizona was a big Republican state, wasn't it, for many years?
But absolutely.
What happened, do you think? McCain left and that was it?
I don't really know what happened in Arizona. I'm still trying to figure out how we wound up with Pritzker in Illinois. So other than the money, but
I just don't know what he would bring. I mean, yes, I think you're right. Being a military person, that could help a little bit. But
an astronaut, and he's the senator from a swing state. I mean, it's not going to be another woman. There's not going to be two women on the ticket. Now, I personally would choose the individual from Pennsylvania because he is, even in today's Democratic Party, a real moderate. And he was elected in a state that is primarily Republican. The Democrats are going to need that state, and he could help them very, very much. But people are concerned. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is that that guy Casey?
No, yeah, there is a Senator Casey, yes. But Senator Casey would not be the choice.
You're not saying Fetterman, I hope.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, God, thank you. I was almost going to lose my breath and have to pause the show. That guy is off the deep end. He's a nut job, in my opinion.
No, I'm talking about the governor who is, but the problem that people say with him, even though he's done an excellent job as governor, he's Jewish. And people do not believe that now what is she? Is she black or is she Indian?
She's Indian and black, and I think her husband is Jewish.
Yes, her husband is Jewish. And this guy would be Jewish also. So some people think that America is not ready for all those non-Northern white Europeans who have dominated this country for so many, many years.
Well, there'd be a lot of diversity in that case. I mean, although the big problem would be, is Kamala, one day she's Indian, one day she is black. Now, she can't say African-American because her husband is from Jamaica and he's black, Jamaican-American. But she can say black, but it depends on where she's at. She throws that out. But Shapiro seems like a pretty decent person. And Pennsylvania is another one of those swing states. But see, isn't this the problem, that there are too many swing states? She'd have to pick 4 vice presidents: Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Wisconsin, right?
Well, because she's the person who would probably do the best job if something happened to her. And I believe it's the governor of Pennsylvania. That's just my opinion.
Listen, I've heard good things about him too, that he's a decent person. I think he was an attorney general at one point. I mean, I know a little bit more about him, than, the other guy from Arizona. You don't hear much about Arizona anymore ever since that sheriff from Arizona got knocked out of his seat, I think. Remember that right-wing sheriff? He was pretty tough.
Yes, absolutely.
But,
American.
Yes, he was a good American, but they fade fast from our, radar screens.
Listen, I want to interject here. Did you know that our next president, President Harris, really spent the first 10 years or so of her life being raised in Canada?
I had no. Was she a draft dodger? Was she avoiding the draft? Listen, she has such a wide background and issues. I think that's what slowed Trump down. He's not sure which issue to attack her on. One day she's an Indian, one day she's black. Next thing you know, it's going to be Canadian. Next thing you're going to know if she was a single remarried woman or whatever. I mean, there's a lot there to go after. And to be honest, I don't know Kamala Harris that well either. I'm not sure a lot of Americans know her, other than the Democrats who want to take Trump out. They'll support anybody. I just wonder, the people in the middle, do they really know Kamala Harris? Because she was kind of hidden during the past 3 years. You didn't see much of her at all, unless she was dancing or joking.
On the border.
But she was down on the border, which hasn't done a very good job. Did you see the National Association of Black Journalists video where Trump was on that?
Yes.
Did you see that at all? I
Yes,
have
I
to
did.
say that's the first time I actually heard Trump explain his position on illegal aliens very clearly. He's
Yes,
never
he did.
done it before, and he also spoke about how he supported abortion within limited, which is the mainstream view. You know, if a
Right,
woman is
absolutely.
raped, or or the health of the woman, or there's incest, the health of the woman and the baby, there should be an allowed to have an abortion during that first trimester. That's the first time I've actually heard him say that, and I think he has said it, but the media doesn't play that. They just say he's anti-immigrant, which is not true, and he's pro-abortion. He's anti-abortion, which is not actually true. So it was interesting, despite the racism from that organization against him.
Well, I was going to say, I think that Rachel Scott, the reporter,
Yeah,
uh, certainly went after him
yes.
unnecessarily.
It,
I would like to see her interview Vice President Harris in the
yeah.
same manner, which is
Don't
not.
hold. Yeah, don't hold your breath on that. See, the issues she brought up, I think, were legitimate. The problem with her was that this host of the uh, the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, was that she made it so negative. Why didn't she just ask the questions? That's a problem with the media today. You know, they fact check people they don't like, and then they just kind of, mosey on past those that they like. They don't care what they say. So it's going to be interesting. You don't think though that there are two women candidates, a president, but would that be a strong ticket to have a
No, I do
woman?
not believe so. I do
You
not
think?
believe America is ready for a president and a vice president that are female. No, I do not.
But they
I,
are. But I think we're ready for a woman president,
oh,
possibly,
yeah,
right? Yes.
definitely. No, I think we're ready for a woman president. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
think
I think. Mhm.
Hillary Clinton, set the cause of a woman president back
Yes, she
uh,
did.
probably 10 years or so because she was so disliked
Yes,
by so many people prior to the time she even ran.
yes. Every time I looked at her, all I thought about was Whitewater and questioning whether she and her husband were actually really married. There were so many issues about her and him that were so troublesome. It was hard to really look at, her as a candidate, and her arrogance and entitlement, I think, really did her in. Harris is different. I think Harris is, since Biden has stepped down, her speeches have been stronger. She's been more deliberate in her, the issues that she's talking about. She's doing a pretty good job. I just don't know. Can you do enough in 3 months to win an election?
Well, has she been interviewed in a live interview as of yet?
Well, like the softball one that George Stephanopoulos gave to Joe Biden after he screwed up that debate. I don't, I think Trump called him George Slopolopoulos, which I thought was kind of funny at that black journalist meeting, because that was a terrible interview. But I think that what she needs to do, and I'll ask you the same question: what does Harris need to do? But I think what Harris needs to do is define her issues to the American people clearly. What can she do? And don't fall into the trap of engaging in name calling and viciousness. If she can do that, she has a shot, because as much as I would like to see Trump get away from his pettiness, he just can't seem to do it. He keeps sliding back down there into the mud. And I think that really is what it's really hurting him more than anything.
Oh, I agree with that. But I think what the Democrats have to do is not campaign against Trump or against his vice president Vance.
Right,
They have to address the issues of the people who are Trump followers are concerned about in this country. That's
right,
what I think the Democrats have to do. I mean, you are talking about a large segment of this country who believe that there are forces in this country trying to take this country away from them, the
right,
people who built this country, okay? They are still calling these people, they're too sexist, they're too racist, they're anti-Semitic. Address those issues. These people are not really that way. So I
right.
think that got to address the issues. If they don't address the issues, I think Trump may very well win this election because Harris isn't well enough known. And I don't know that she can become well enough known in a very short span of time.
I know that from the Arab perspective, Arab voters in these swing states are going to make a big difference. Although the polling I've seen shows that they're really going to vote for, they're going to throw their vote away. Not to say that voting is a bad thing, but they're going to vote for Jill Stein, who's from the Green Party, who's Jewish, and who is opposed to all violence. She opposes Hamas and she opposes the Netanyahu government, but she cannot get the kind of votes that she needs. Robert F. Kennedy, his numbers have been going up, but he's still a third party candidate. And I just don't see the Democrats in any way embracing him or going towards him. Do you see any hope for Robert F. Kennedy other than being stopping the process?
He takes votes away from the Democratic candidate. And the news media doesn't want that. They want the Democrat to win. So they are going to do absolutely nothing to give Kennedy exposure. So I don't think he has a chance. It would be smart if Harris would pick him as her vice presidential candidate. Now, I don't know if he would accept it or not, but that name on the ticket would help her out tremendously. And it would also get him out of being an independent, ciphering votes away from her. So that'd be the move to make. I am sure Kennedy's grandfather, Joe Kennedy, the patriarch of the Kennedy family, would be smart enough, if he was running the Harris campaign, to engineer a deal where Robert Kennedy Jr. became the vice president, because he got his son in to be the president when there was still a lot of anti-Catholicism in this country back in 1960. He was a very shrewd, smooth operator. And I think he would be willing to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree with you that if there were more time and Kennedy were to moderate some of his views a little bit, I agree with you. I think Robert F. Kennedy would be a great vice president with Kamala Harris as president. He's a little more conservative than she is. He adds something to her, profile that she can never have, which is an appeal to these conservative centrist Republicans, conservative Democrats who helped Trump get elected the first time and who got upset with his pettiness and voted for Biden and who are now very disappointed in Biden's performance. So, yeah, I think that would be great. But, I think what we need to do is pull the curtain from the Wizard of Oz. And why don't we just have the media run the country? Why do we even have presidential elections anymore? The media is going to tell us who they want, and they're going to do everything they can to shove that candidate down our throat without realizing that they're turning off the voters more than anybody. And if anybody has made Donald Trump, it's the media hate for him that has made him the stronger candidate than he really is.
And that comes from the voice of a man who's been in the media how many years?
I've seen 45 years, and all I've seen was media manipulation by the higher you get in journalism, the more national, the more you start believing your own press releases that you're the powerful voice. George Stephanopoulos is a great example, believing that his interview with Biden somehow was going to save Biden. And the same way that, if you remember, the Clintons doing the interview on 60 Minutes that time, when he said she is not Tammy Wynette standing by her man, and it was a powerful interview at the time, although it turned out he was lying through his teeth almost about everything that she stood by. So, but yeah, that would be interesting. But you think it's going to be Shapiro, and we're going to see that in a few weeks, right?
No,
Or she may.
No, I think it's going to be Mark Kelly from Arizona.
Oh, but you favor Shapiro.
Yes, he would be my choice.
Yeah, but you think it's going to be for the senator whose name I'm going to have to spend time now remembering and learning about.
Kelly.
Kelly, that's a great name. If this were a Chicago election, Kelly could win hands down no matter what the record they have. That Irish name is powerful. But that leaves everything open. Bill, any final thoughts here as we go into this, we should be hearing soon, right? Don't you think, before the convention?
I would think that we would be hearing very soon. And I apologize to our viewers and listeners if we seem to be a little bit too frivolous in discussing some of these issues today. But really, this country is at a point where if you can't laugh somewhat about it, you're going to be really in a very, very bad state. Because once again, I say, how can a country of 350 million people find candidates of this ilk to run for president and vice president? It's beyond my comprehension.
And personally, I always think humor is a better way to address a criticism and present a criticism rather than being so mean the way we see so many people, because it's only created a ugly and horrible divide in this country. So maybe this is what we should see the media doing a little more of. Step back, lighten up a little bit, people, because it's just, this is dizzying anger and hate, and fighting is not good for us.
That column that you wrote, Ray, on exactly that really was a brilliant column. And I want to really compliment you on that. And I hope a lot of people read that column.
Thank you. They could go to Hanania.com if they want to read it on the hate that's fueling our politics and how it's destroying us. Bill, listen, thank you again. I always enjoy talking with you. I'm Ray Hanania.
I'm Bill Lipinski. And until next time, remember, it's Kelly, Kelly.
They're going to need to do a lot of maybe they'll buy an ad on our podcast to help promote them. All right, everybody, we'll talk to you next week.